Hey everybody, hey traders, Chris Pulver here. Welcome to the Weekly Outlook. It is the week of November 2nd through the 6th. There's something pretty important going on this week. I can't quite figure it out. Oh yeah, it's the US election. The only thing we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, it's been on traders and investors' minds for a long, long time. The race is tightening. Volatility is going to be plentiful. So let's make sure that we plan accordingly. So when I'm talking about volatility this week, I'll look at the VIX, I'll look at the VIXY, the VXX. I'll also be looking at certain stocks, indices, and Forex pairs. But I'm going to keep the analysis pretty short and sweet. I think this is a week that you don't want to make any big, bold predictions. I will be playing it very conservatively this week. If we see a ton of great volatility, then I'm thinking that probably my Tuesday night to Wednesday, I'm looking at kind of the meat of the week, like Tuesday night as election night's underway. I'll be streaming it live. We'll be running some live sessions. Inside the description or the show notes for this episode, I will have a link for a day one election event. That is free for everyone to join. I'll also include the link for day 2 and 3. That is $5 whopping. If you want to join myself and 2 teammates of mine, Gary Fickhart, Tyson Clayton, we're going to be trading live on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So today is a game plan session. We're going to have 2 sessions. Day 2 and day 3 are going to be looking to trade, looking at certain setups, different strategies. And I think for me, it could be Tuesday night to Wednesday morning, like early Wednesday morning through that active zone window. Between Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, possibly into Thursday, I'm looking at that as kind of the meat of the week. What type of volatility do we have? Are there any intraday or short-term trading opportunities? I may test the waters on some of those. I might look at some breakout opportunities. I'll be watching the dollar pairs. I'll be watching the yen pairs. And we'll be keeping an eye on what's strong versus what's weak. I think that's the best way to exploit this and see if we have a big basket move in the FX market. So that being said, this entire week revolves around the election. Whether it's your candidate or not, it's going to be a historical event. One of the major elections that have, I'd say, the most active elections. It seems to be the case at least during a pandemic, during a questionable economic cycle, and it's just a crazy time. So we'll see. We'll see if it's Tuesday night victory is declared by somebody. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be contested. Maybe it gets really ugly. We don't know, and that's why this is so much drama and uncertainty surrounding it. But it's something to watch, and I never thought that politics would try to make its way into like mainstream media and be something that everybody's talking about all the friggin' time, because it's exhausting. I will say that. As a trader, as an investor, it's exhausting that trading now is more political than ever before. But you can either complain about it or you can figure out how to trade, and that's what I'm here to do. So let's get to it. We understand there's risk in trading. Please and always use trade capital only when investing. If you're following me out there on social media, I would recommend the easiest way to follow me and get free education like this, weekly outlooks and other videos. Follow me on YouTube. Click the like button on this video. I really appreciate it. And tell other people. Free education, free weekly outlooks. Keep it seriously simple. You give me a subject matter, I'll make a video on it. So my YouTube channel is a great way to follow me. You can look me up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. Those are my handles right there. Keep it seriously simple. This is what the thumbnail looks like. You can find a ton of videos out there in the playlist. I think there's over 20 right now. Education between, support resistance, trend lines, adding to winning positions, equity management, using margin and leverage. I've got other ones in the hopper. After this week, it's just been a crazy week. I just launched a new course called Trend Seeker Pro. I have this week with the election and just a ton of sessions that I'm doing, live trading sessions. So my harmonics and overbought or sold divergence videos, all that stuff will be coming. I just have to get them finally branded, and I'll throw them onto YouTube as well. Okay, so let's take a look here at the charts. Like I said, this analysis is going to be pretty short and sweet. This is the SPY. So I'm looking at the SPY, and I think the big thing on the SPY is going to be this. Do we have the top or bottom broken? That's what I'm not sure of yet, but watching to see something like this. In fact, I'll just use it on the chart for my charting software. So if I have this high from September, this low from September, this was really the slide. So we have this high, we have this low. I could see the markets this week creating a lot of volatility. So remember, Wall Street opens 9:30, closes 4 p.m. Does that mean that we have, prices testing the lows and then shooting back up? Do we have prices somehow testing the highs and getting rejected? Do we see price actually breaking the structure? And this is the critical part. Last week, the S&P came right down towards the lows of support. So did the NASDAQ. Okay, we have this high, we have this low. I've been short the SPY, short the QQQ, made some profits on those last week. I wish I was shorting the Dow Jones because the Dow Jones came right back down to that same low as well. So there's a high and there's a low, and you can see that the Dow came in and tested that, but it is gapping and pushing higher today. So clearly, this indecision is holding right now, and this is where traders are going to see a lot of volatility. There may not be picture perfect direction and confirmation this week, and I don't expect that. So make sure any positions are either thinking, long term or medium term to last the next 1 to 3 months, or you're trying to trade more short term and go after, I'm looking to buy here, tight stop, go after profits. I'm looking to sell here, tight stop, and profit. And you trade the structure. So the SPY represents the S&P 500. You can see the indecision between this high and low. The Q represents the NASDAQ. This is QQQ. There's your high, there's your low. And the DIA represents the Dow Jones. We have a high, we have a low. To put it into perspective for the year, the NASDAQ is still holding on to gains this year. We had our 40+% sell-off, our 60+% rally. The NASDAQ is still up year to date 21.61%. The S&P is clinging to 1.21% positive for the year. And the Dow Jones is not. The Dow Jones is in the red, negative 0.714%. Gold is up 23% for the year. Bitcoin is up close to 80% for the year. The 10-year note is down to still less than 1%. It's at 0.87 as of last week. Oil is down as well from the $40 resistance area to around $35. Oil still has room to potentially slide towards $30 and $25, putting some pressure on the commodities, seeing some strength in the US dollar in the near term. So this is what I'm watching for major indices. I'm watching the DIA, I'm watching the QQQ, I'm watching the SPY. I'll be talking about that this week in those election events, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'll be also watching the VIX, the old fear gauge as they call it. I'm wondering looking to see, are we going to break this high? We broke this high last week. I did close out some profits on my VIXY call options. I was up 125% on my VIXY call options, thanks in part to a nice spike to the upside. So I had call options around this $20 handle, ended up going up towards $22.70. And I closed it out. That was actually, I believe this was Friday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. So Wednesday, we had another big push to the upside. I saw the gap, and I thought, you know what? Because of the expiration, because of the election, I'll just take these profits now. I'm still holding VIXY long with the ETF. I bought the ETF at $22. I bought it again at $20, giving me a base of around 21. It's currently around 20.93, which is right around my break even. Hopefully, any uncertainty this week will start driving the VIXY higher, driving the VIX higher, and I'll be looking to hang on to the ETF probably until $30 or more. If I get to $30+, that's approximately a 50% move. I'll probably just take the profit and look to take that cash and margin and profit and apply it elsewhere at a later date with a better price. So that's one that I'm watching really closely this week. When it comes to currencies, watching the US dollar. Dollar index is at 12.092. I went ahead and applied some levels. We still have a low, we have a high. I'm still looking for dollar strength. I think any uncertainty with the election especially is going to hurt overall sentiment. It's going to create more uncertainty, more volatility. Dollar strength is likely going to be the byproduct of that. So I'm watching for dollar strength. I'm watching for yen strength to see how strong the stock market is going to either stay where it is or potentially start to break those lows from September. So dollar index, to me, we have some intermediate volatility with support around 12,000, current price at 12,100, but I'm looking for this to get up into at least 12,200, possibly even higher. There are two levels I'm watching really carefully. I'm watching this level right here around 12,200, and I'm watching this level right here around 12,400. So even if we have a symmetrical correction, this low to high, higher low to higher high, that really puts the dollar into a nice little symmetrical move. We could have a 1, 2, 3 wave correction, and then we look at more dollar weakness coming. But I think the uncertainty, like I said, The risk-off type trading could help the dollar in the near term. So I think this week, that's one thing to certainly keep an eye out for is the US dollar to strengthen. DXY is another one that's still the dollar index. You can see the similar structure. Really nice pocket right in here around 95.7. Back in here as well around 97.7. So let's look at something symmetrical. We have a low, high, something around this area. Previous support becomes resistance. That's a nice little corrective target for the dollar around 96. From there, we could see the dollar start to weaken. But dollar strength looks pretty positive in the near term. As far as currency pairs, this is a pair that I really don't like trading, but I think it's going to be one of the best pairs to watch for this election. And the reason why is this. If we end up breaking below 104, I think that we have a strong move to the downside coming on yen strength. I think primarily this would be led by yen strength. And if we break below 104, I'm looking for a very quick run down towards 101.50 or possibly the parity mark, which is 100. Now, this could be a very fast move. If you're not super familiar with trading currencies or watching pairs like the dollar yen, you should look up a little lesson on bull and bear flags. Because if we break to the downside, I would be looking for a break, a pause, and then I'd look at a sell stop right below that and see if I get a breakout. And if it pauses again, another sell stop below that, look for a breakout. And you're just trying to get filled on some volatility to the downside, some quick movement to the downside, and then once we hit 101.50 or lower, maybe 100, you are protecting profits. Because I do think if it creates a very fast move to the downside, we will probably see a very fast move to the upside. And I'm looking at potentially this run all the way to 110, 111. So I know that I've made a pretty large prediction on the dollar yen. I've told traders this for the last several months, but structurally, for some reason, this currency pair likes to do a lot of crazy stuff in a very short amount of time and then nothing for months and months and months and months. Well, it's going to be difficult for the dollar yen to do nothing this week. So if we do break below 104, I'm looking for a fast move to 101.50. If we find a way to break above 106, I'm looking for a fast move towards 111. That's 400 to 500 pips of movement on either side of this box. So yes, I'm watching this currency pair because I think this is a great way to go with some flow. And again, I wouldn't be trading this just, buy here and let it run. I would be looking at potentially scalping. I have a couple of robots that I might deploy here, something called a sentiment strength line, something called right trader max. So those would be two really helpful trades, or robots rather, to get some nice precise trading and go with some protective, aggressive runs. But I guess it could be really straightforward. If it breaks out here, you take a buy, you put a stop loss below the candle and just see if it runs. If it sells off, you look at a break below, you can sell it there, sell the retest, stop area above, and see if it runs. It doesn't have to be complicated. I guess the question is, will we see continuation, or will it be an aggressive test below and then a fake out, aggressive test above and then a fake out? I want to see a daily close above or below. That's a really important thing, is that a daily candle closes below this 104 level or above this 106 level. If we have a nice clean confirmation above or below, I'll start looking to participate. So that is a really important pair to watch this week. Other pairs that I am in that I'm super interested in, 91.93 on the dollar Swiss. I'm looking for this to get back up into this previous high and this 93.50 pocket. So I'm long on dollar Swiss. I've been long since this thing was starting to build up some structure over here. I have a lot of small positions running. I'll show you what that looks like on one of my live accounts. So let me go over to dollar Swiss. So here's my dollar Swiss, and it just looks like I used a ton of little levels, and I kind of did. And there is my dollar Swiss. So here's a daily chart. Basically, I just started to build some small positions over here, add some small positions over here, and I'm looking for this run into 93.50 or higher. Again, this week is an important week to watch. If I hit 93.50, I'll probably take profit on a majority of my entries and just take the profit. It'd be worth anywhere from, current price is 92, so probably worth about $400 to $500 for me on this trade. And anything above that would be great. I can take that cash, take that margin back, and apply it elsewhere. I can short-term trade, but 93.50 is my target on the dollar Swiss. I hope I can go a lot higher than that, but I think for me, with all that could be happening this week, if we come back up to, the same high, we spike up to 93.50, I think it's going to be the safest thing for me just to take profit. Alrighty, Euro Swiss is another trade that I have some positions in. I've scaled back quite a bit. I'm only in, it's 4 currency pairs that I'm trading. Dollar Swiss is one, Euro Swiss is another. This is one that I think we just made a sneaky little break below these lows. You know, we may come back and retest this level around 106.30 or 106.20. And I'd say worst case scenario is maybe we come back down and retest 105. But I have a feeling that if we just break this trend line here, if we break this trend line and get back above 107 and change, I'm looking for this Euro Swiss to head back up into 108.15, maybe even 108.20. And I've got a couple positions in that I'm looking for some scalping opportunities right there. And then I'm looking for a continuation above 108.40. The big confirmation for me on Dollar Swiss or Euro Swiss is if we have a daily candle above 108.40, I'm looking for this thing to run to 110. So there's a couple levels I'm watching really carefully right now, and I'll go ahead and just do this with my chart. I'm going to take a trend line and just put a trend line right there. If we break this area, and I think there's 2 levels to watch. One is a trend line break, and the other would see if we can get price back below these lows. Right in here, you see all of this support around 107.30. If we can see a daily candle closing back above 107.30, I think that helps us put in more of a near-term bottom, and we start looking to get back up into 108 and change. 108 and change is kind of step 1 and target 1. If we're above 108.40, I'm very bullish and aggressively bullish towards 110. It's actually 110.50. And that I think is a really good trade. Could it happen, this week with a ton of volatility? Yes. Could it take a little bit longer? Let's start with step 1 as we break the trend line and get above 107.30. Check. If we get above that, then I'm looking for a run to 108.30 or so. Check. If we get above that, then we have open space to run to 110.50. So there's going to be a couple phases to this trade, but pretty good confirmation across the board, and I do have a directional bias to the upside, looking to confirm this one. And I've been holding. Same thing here. Here's my live chart. Euro Swiss, let me go back a couple of charts here. Euro Swiss, right in here. So holding some positions, right? I've held some positions over here. I've added to them. I have some scalps in. I'm looking to take this back up here for some profits. And if we go up towards 110.50, then turning everything into a positive position. So would I add more? Yep, I've got a pending buy right there at the equal low, another pending buy down here at the equal low, and I'm still holding out for this as my profit target around 110 to 110.50. So that's Euro Swiss. I also have the Aussie New Zealand. I couldn't help myself. I took a trade on it last week at 106.20. That's up a few pips, but I'm looking for a bigger run towards 108. Now, this actually could be a really cool looking pattern. Let me use an X ABCD tool here. So X, A, B, C, to D. I'm looking for some type of harmonic pattern. If we do come down a little bit lower, all of these areas between 105, 104, 103, this is still a valid harmonic pattern. Okay, so we could set up something like this where I'm looking to buy off of those levels. So traders in my trading room, we've already walked through the Aussie New Zealand several times. I'm also testing the waters here around 106. I want to see if this heads up into 108. So we could have something like this as well. We could have an X, A, B, C, D, and it fulfills this little guy right there, comes back down for one more push, and then becomes a weekly harmonic. So I'm still looking for some big bullish positions on the Aussie New Zealand, and part of this is just to stay with the larger range. There's a ton of resistance way up here at 114, and we have this support at 1.00. So in my view, we have lots of support over here, lots of support over here. So we have a swing to the upside, and I'm looking for something to settle back in for higher lows, and then we see another push to the upside again. So if we can get back to 113, 114, I would love to see this thing be that bullish, and from there I would be looking to short it like crazy. So for right now, the posture to me is finding levels to buy nice and low on the Aussie New Zealand, and then trying to take this up to higher highs to 114, ultimately getting towards these same highs, and then this thing comes back down once again. But first steps, right? Let's see if we can get some confirmation to buy. This should go up to 108. If we go higher than that, cool. But if we end up coming back down, I'll take profit on my current position at 108, look to reload back in here, and then take this higher. So this is going to be a complicated currency pair. It's going to take time. It's a great technical currency pair, and one thing that I'm calling kind of a play it safe prediction, which has very little to do with the U.S. election, nothing to do with the U.S. dollar, nothing to do with overall sentiment, because it's Aussie versus New Zealand. So this isn't Aussie versus yen or New Zealand versus the dollar. This is Aussie versus New Zealand. So essentially, it's two, solid commodity-based currency pairs just duking it out for good technical trades. And that's why I like currency pairs like this. I like currency pairs like the Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD. They tend to be very efficient. They're lower volatility. And it's just a certain, kind of personality that I like for these currency pairs, certain rhythm that they have and cadence. And I tend to trade those pretty effectively. So I like the Aussie New Zealand, but it's going to take time. In fact, I'm already preparing myself for like a 1 to 3 month hold on the Aussie New Zealand. But hopefully, it's a quick trade towards 108, and then we have a chance to reload at lower levels to take this thing skyrocketing towards 114. So, I mean, big position wise, I'm still going to hang on to Aussie New Zealand long. I'm going to hang on to Euro Swiss long. I'm going to hang on to dollar Swiss long. I'm watching the dollar yen very carefully. We can look at other currency pairs again. You can, check the description in this video. Find the link for day 1, day 2, day 3. Like I said, day 1 is absolutely free. We'll be streaming this on YouTube later today, live, and then day 2 and 3 is $5. You can trade live with us, and we'll talk about all of our systems and strategies. We have a pre-election kit with a PDF you can have from us. So it's going to be a ton of information, but I'm going to have a lot more fun doing it together with some good friends of mine, great traders, and thousands of students, versus just doing it by myself. So it's going to be a more enjoyable community feel. Plus, we can all kind of go through the madness together, because who knows what's going to happen. Currently, euro dollar is down to 16.34. I closed up my profits too early. I was short around 18.15. I closed that up around 75 pips of profit. And it is what it is. This should still be dropping towards 115. You can see this previous high around, it's exactly 115. This is why I also think that if the euro dollar can head lower into 115, that's why I think the dollar Swiss can head higher into 9,300, 9,350. So I remain long on the dollar Swiss. I took some profit on the euro dollar around plus 75. And I think this is either going to test this level or come back and spike into this 115 level. From there, that's a bit of a toss-up. This could obviously wash a lot of this profit away and come back into this breakout zone, or this could be, the correction that was needed to find support and then push this thing back up with a ton of volatility on the euro dollar. Again, we're going to take it one day at a time. We're going to make sure we're watching price action very carefully. Yen pairs, I would also watch some yen pairs really carefully. Aussie yen, CAD yen, New Zealand yen. If there's going to be some really obvious risk-off trading, those pairs will drop a ton. Hear me again. If we're going to have risk-off trading, Aussie yen, CAD yen, and New Zealand yen, they should all be dropping pretty aggressively. They've already made a pretty decent decline, but they will continue. All right. Now, if they don't, that means that we're finding some support. We could see the Aussie yen gaining some traction here. Think about the stock market. Think about this correlation. If you want to see the Aussie yen trade like a stock, watch the SPY, watch the S&P 500. Because if we have the high in September, the low in September, and we're coming back to test this low, it would make perfect sense that we get a bounce off this support and you start to see a bounce off the Aussie yen. And if you have a bounce off the Aussie yen, you're probably going to see a bounce off of the New Zealand yen and CAD yen as well. All right, so there will be some risk on, risk off type trading that we're going to keep a very close eye on. Watch the dollar index. For all the traders that are with me in my trading room, the positions I'm in, like I said, I'm still long dollar Swiss, Euro Swiss, and Aussie New Zealand. I will ride those through this election, but elsewhere, when it comes to other yen pairs or other pound pairs perhaps, or euro pairs, I'm looking for volatility. So I'm going to do something very simple and just come back to a currency strength chart and see, possibly during Tuesday night's election results as they're coming in to Wednesday's, active zone London session and London breakout. Do we have some really obvious strong currency pairs to weak currency pairs? Do we see volatility measured higher and lower? Right now, we see that the Swiss is softer, the pound is a little bit softer, the dollar's baseline. We see a CAD, Aussie, New Zealand on the stronger side. A bit of a recovery from last week's sell-off. I believe the S&P 500 sold off like 6% last week, or close to it. So anyway, again, these volatility levels are probably going to get much, much higher as the week goes on. I think there will be some really good opportunities to look for highs and lows to trade, kind of intraday, and then watch the big levels, right? But the most important thing is if you feel like your chasing the markets. If you're not ready to trade, then don't. Join us for the election event, soak in a lot of information, let it digest, and you'll have plenty of opportunities. The last thing we want to see any trader do is come into this ill-prepared and make some fat finger trades or click the wrong button or not know how to move a stop loss or eliminate what. Don't make those fatal mistakes that can, sacrifice or jeopardize any profits you've had this year or any progress you've made this year into something that is just happening too far, too fast, and just maybe it's out of our control. So if that makes you nervous, then come in, like I said, learn the information, be a spectator, enjoy it. If one thing, we should be excited. It might be a little nerve-wracking. There's a lot of anxiety this week, but it should be exciting for the fact that the market's going to be moving. Whether we have a clear direction on them or clear momentum on them, we don't know. But they will be moving. I can guarantee you that. Whether it's straight up, straight down, and absolutely no clear direction, doesn't matter. We're going to see volatility this week. All right. And that's another thing I'm holding long, volatility. I'm long the VIXY. I'm long the VXX. I closed out my call options for profit. That's been a great trade so far. And I'm looking for more profits and volatility. That's it. I'll let you go there. Like I said, take a moment, find that little thumb down below this video, smash the like button for me. I really appreciate that. Share this video with friends, family, colleagues, communities. If you're in other trading communities, look, it's all free. I do this look, it's a good outlet for me. I do it for fun. And I'm hoping this is good information to share with everybody. Secondly, in the show notes or in the description here, get that link for day one. We're going to be going live at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. That's session one. We have another session later on tonight around 8:30 p.m. So we have 2 live sessions today, 1 live session tomorrow during the election results, and then we'll be trading Wednesday as well in the afternoon and evening. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, expect to be very busy. I might even have a full day of no sleep. Maybe from Tuesday to Wednesday, I just stay up all night and just power through it. Or I just try to power nap intermittently through the day, but it's going to be a busy week. All right, but like I said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. You should be as well. It's going to be a crazy week, so let's embrace it. Let's do the best that we can, and as always, keep grinding. All right, traders, talk to you soon. Bye.